I've definitely struggled with maybe struggle isn't the right word. It's not that I've struggled with imposter syndrome, it's that I've experienced imposter syndrome. I think that's actually an important nuance. You don't have to struggle with it. You can feel it and take it as input that you're stretching, and that's okay. I don't think imposter syndrome is the same as faking it till you make it, right? We call it a syndrome because it's giving you slightly aberrant, unhelpful of a lens to look at your experience. If it was completely accurate, we wouldn't call it a syndrome. We'd call it a clear-eyed worldview of your of your skills or something, right? Imposter syndrome is what you feel when you're stretching and you're doing something bigger than you've done before. And it's basically your biology telling you, hey, this is unfamiliar. And you've kind of got to get used to that feeling. And some of us have had more experience with that than others, and that makes it easier. There's really interesting research around, it's called risky play. So when little kids are allowed to play in an environment that's not completely bubble wrapped, right? So, the floor hasn't been made all soft and springy. It's not like there are no sharp edges or pointy corners that they can bump into, right? So essentially just rewinding the clock to what play looked like when we were kids. And what the research shows is that children who have the opportunity to experience risky play as kids tend to have much better outcomes later in life with things like teen pregnancy, with things like credit card debt, because they get a feel for handling and assessing risk. They get a feel for their limits. You don't want the first time someone is trying to figure out how to assess risk to be when they're on their own in their 20s with a credit card in their hand, right? Like that's going to be risky. So, imposter syndrome is kind of like that, right? Like it just says this is unfamiliar, and the less calibrated your senses of how much is a stretch and how much is safe and how much is not, then the more you're going to feel it, the more you have to kind of consciously disregard it. But like that feeling doesn't go away. I'll give you an example. I just recently decided that it's been a while since I ran a mastermind of my own. I used to do it many years ago, and I run mastermind events or sessions with our ACEs coaching program, but I haven't had my own group in a long time. And I was like, I really want to do it. So I thought about what the perfect group would be in my mind, like the perfect experience, and I designed it. And I made a list of people I know who would be a good fit. And you've got different groups of people on that list. You've got the people that they know you, they like you, they're probably going to jump in. Those are easy. You've got the ones where you're not sure. You've got the ones that I know them, I know they know me and like me, but maybe it's a stretch. I don't know if they'll go for it. And those are the ones that you're hesitant to put on the list. You're hesitant to reach out. What if they, what, right? You want to make it explicit. What if they what? What if they say thanks, but no thanks, right? Like that's the worst thing that happened, or they just ignore the email, right? And on that list of the reach people, the ones who are like, I'd love to have them in the group. I think they'd be awesome. I think they'd get a lot. I think they'd contribute a lot, but I don't know. I'm a little uncomfortable. I held off, right? I reached out to other people first, built my confidence, had a lot of people say yes. The group was growing. All right. I'm like, okay, great. I have a list of people who are already in. I've got good proof. I reached out to two of these people who are reaches. And more than two, but there were two that are relevant to this story. So one of them replied 2 days later, was like, I'm in. Sounds great. I'm like, oh, okay, that was easy. The second person said, also a few days later, the second person replied and said, oh, this looks great. I wish you had told me about this a few weeks ago because I just committed to another group. And I'm like, damn it. But it's a really valuable lesson. I'm sorry they're not in the group now. I'm sure they'll make their way in at some point in the future or some other opportunity. But the lesson is valuable. So I'm grateful for that. Right? Again, if it was an accurate picture, we wouldn't call it a syndrome. So don't struggle with it. Just accept it. Oh, this is my body telling me I'm stretching beyond what's comfortable. And I may have a finely honed sense of, okay, it's uncomfortable, but I can do it. Or I may not have that, and I need to push and feel it out because, you know, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So you can start calibrating right now.